common man. Common man, charms the housewives like no one can. What'd you shoot? Where'd we play? Non-stop nonsense on deck today. Tune in, it's time for Common Man.
Oh, boy. Why should anybody aspire to be a common man, an average man? Do you realize what it means to be average? That means you're the best of the lousiest, and the lousiest of the best. Now, if we demand more and more for producing less and less, while the have-not nations encourage and inspire and indeed require hard work and maximum effort, if we deify the common men while they encourage and reward the uncommon ones, well, the end result of such a lopsided race as that is too obvious to require elaboration.
I mean, it's like, hello? Objects in your mirror may be closer than they appear. We're coming. We're coming.
Oh my gosh. Above average.
Rosa, you don't know nothing.
I'm a fraud.
Yes.
Sometimes when you practice, you'll set up chairs. And you run through chairs just to show zones and stuff. The Viking defense looks like it's chairs.
Hey, what up, Tennessee?
That's for me to know and you to find out.
We're the state of hockey, and I think that proves it, so.
And he's loose!
The victory formation.
Victory formation.
This is not Detroit, man. This is the Super Bowl.
Super Bowl, homeboy.
You're serious, Cap.
Sorry, KFAN.
Yeah, baby.
Welcome back to the spotlight, young man.
He's the clown from Brown. He's the fourth in the north. This is the common man, Dan Cole.
Hey, so act, you and yours. I'm Common. East Tennessee legendary one will join us at 2. Truncated version of the Common Man program. Went to the dentist today. Well, you just the biannual checkup and cleaning. I get my teeth cleaned twice a year. It's a little more expensive. Sorry. I have to do the old inside joke, but well worth it. Yeah, I do a public service announcement. I tell my boys this all the time. Brush your teeth twice daily and floss, please. Because when I was young, I never flossed my teeth, ever.
No.
Did you? Never.
No.
Never.
I probably didn't do a very good job, but I got a lot of cavities when I was a child.
Well, that's it. Me too. And then what happens too is that junk stays in there, and apparently it just deteriorates your gum, and then your bone starts to disappear, and you start looking like a hockey player, right? You're missing teeth, you have big gaps in there and all that, and it's like, why didn't I just floss my teeth? So now I went today, and it's almost like they want to bring people in, the other dental hygienists, and say, you got to see this guy. I don't need to take a chisel to it. Because before they used to they would come in with like a chisel and a hammer and just start hacking away in my mouth, right? Because it would be just, the tartar would build up so badly. And now it's like, she even looked at the worst place apparently is your lower teeth, the ones in the middle, like in the back.
Yeah.
She says, this is job security for me in normal circumstances because that's where nobody gets. She goes, there's barely anything there with you. The only problem is because I've had crowns and fillings. After having some really clean checkups for the past couple of years, they got to put another crown in. Because there's already a big filling there and there's decay under it. And this, back when I was getting fillings was back in like the 60s and 70s. So after a while, they just begin to deteriorate, right? And then they found another cavity in the lower left, upper right, lower left, crown. Crown goes for like, I think she said it was $1,600. Insurance, she says, if you got the right coverage, you'll pay for half of it. That's probably about it. Though I've got one of those. Do you have one of those? Or they call it TSA card? No, TSA is what you go through to get into the airport, right? It's the HSA. Do you know what those are? It's a card you get where I put money into a medical account and then it builds up. So I've got that to pay for. But it's like, if you're in your 20s or 30s and you're not listening to KDWB right now and you're listening to the fan, it's like there used to be, I remember back when I was a kid, they would have these public service announcements. You probably heard me say this line on the air 6-7 different times over the years and wonder what I'm talking about, where I say, lock your cars, lock your car, take your keys, don't let a good boy go bad. Because they were trying to stop car thefts, right? Because apparently they thought that was, I don't know if now this would have been, like I say, back in the 60s and 70s. So I don't know if stolen cars were a, by the way, it was a pandemic. What happened? Wasn't it there were certain Kias and Hyundais where you could basically go in with just like with a screwdriver and you could start somebody's car and take off with it? Remember, they were just getting stolen by the hundreds where they were being stolen. And then apparently, I wonder what it cost Kia and Hyundai, because they had to come up with some type of a recall and some type of a fix for that. Because I remember those cars were being stolen, and I don't hear much about it anymore. Or maybe they're just stolen so frequently. It's like, when we were kids, the biggest thefts we would do is we would steal apples from Fabianchi's tree. I've told you that story before, too. When we were kids, they had apples. We'd wait till it got dark at night. We'd run into their yard and steal their apples. And one time they caught us and said, why don't you just ask? We'll give them to you. It's no big deal. We got trees all over. And then we would say, well, it's more fun to steal them. But anyway, so those are my public service announcements. Park your car, take your keys, don't let a good boy go bad. And if you have a Kia, maybe you should, I don't know what you should do, get it fixed. And floss your teeth. Brush twice daily, 2 minutes, and floss your teeth so you don't end up like me. Now, I love trade deadlines, regardless of the league, but the NBA might be the most interesting. You sent me a screenshot or a link to a tweet where somebody says the Wolves are now in negotiations to acquire James Harden. And they actually have an AI picture of the two of them in Wolves uniforms standing next to each other in the court. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, great, just another guy that doesn't want to play defense. Why would we want to add a guy that doesn't want to play defense? Because Harden doesn't play defense. He never has and he never will. Let's add another guy that doesn't want to play defense. That would be a really good idea. But the best one I saw...
We can win some 130 to 127 games with him.
Well, yeah, there's no doubt. But the best I saw was... This is so good. Did you send this to me or did I see it? I hope I can find it. I could have swore Oh, yeah, here it is. So it says... Now, these aren't rumors, but this is some guy with CBS Sports. His name is San Quinn. He's not Quinn Hughes. More on him later. Antetokounmpo mock trades. How Knicks, Warriors, more could entice Bucks with multi-team deals. So I go, well, he has to bring up the Wolves because the Wolves have been rumored to be interested in Antetokounmpo, right? So I scroll down. I'm not making this up. And the Sam Quinn guy that put this together, the work he had to do just to concoct this deal must have taken him, he must have started last season concocting this one. This is what he writes. Minnesota Timberwolves. This is the trade he has. Timberwolves receive Antetokounmpo, Miles Turner, Kyle Kuzma, is it Kuzma or Kuzma? Bobby Portis and Julian Phillips. The Hornets get Jaden McDaniels. The Celtics get Rudy Gobert. The Bulls get Julius Randle and Josh Green. The Bucks get Anthony Simmons, Naz Reid, Zach Collins, Kevin Huerter, Grant Williams, Sam Hauser, Dalen Terry, Juan Beranger, Terrence Shannon Jr., Bones Highland, 5 first-round picks. The 2026 via Hornets, top 4 protected, unprotected 2027, 2026 via Celtics, 2027 via Mavericks, top 2 protected, 2027 via Bulls, top 10 protected, top 8 protected in 2028, 29 reverts to 2029 and 2030 second-round picks thereafter, 2029 least favorable, the Jazz, Cavs, Timberwolves, 2028 first-round swap rights via the Timberwolves.
That's a lot going on there.
What? This is more complicated than the battle plan for the battle at Verdun in World War II. And then even Rice, yes, you're reading this correctly. We're closing on a 5-team, 19-player trade. 19-player. That's how complicated Minnesota's pursuit of Antetokounmpo would be. In other words, it's not feasible. If this happens, if this trade happens exactly how he spells it, or even close, 4 teams and 14 players, I'll leave town. Why even bother to go through this?
How do you get 5 teams involved?
I don't know.
And it just takes one to go, no, we want a little more.
Right. And then how does he come up with all the different draft picks? You know, this pick for that pick. And he's got one team, was it the Celtics? No, the Bucks got they're getting more players back. They could field 2 teams. Their roster would double to 30 players.
They immediately got to send guys down to the G League.
How does he even come up with this thing? And then the work that it took to do that. I'd rather just have dinner and watch Rockford Files, because he had to sit there last night going, okay, he had spreadsheets with all the different teams and all their draft picks and players available and matching contracts, and he's piecing it together. Tenneby, if only the Antetokounmpo trade could be that simple, right? It's just too bad it's not that simple. That's the most complicated thing I've ever read in my entire life.
Yeah, well, we have some Giannis rumor mill breaking news if we want to get to on the other side of the break.
We'll do that along with Peek at the Purple. There's some controversial Vikings news, something we haven't talked about in a long time. Quarterback quandary. We're going to talk about the quarterback situation in Minnesota. I don't think it's been given enough airtime, Tenneby. I really don't. You know, I don't think the quarterback situation in Minnesota is getting as much. There's a quarterback situation going on in Minnesota that's not getting as much attention as some other places. So we'll do that and so much more on the Common Man program. Right now, though, Tenneby's got a keyword for us.
The fan wants to give you a shot to win bonus bucks with our national cash contest. Just enter the keyword pay at KFAN.com now for a shot at winning. The keyword is pay. Enter now at KFAN.com. Bonus Bucks is back on KFAN. We have 9 chances for you to win $1,000 every weekday. That's every hour from 9 a.m. until 5 p.m. To enter the keywords and learn more, head to KFAN.com.
Like, hello.
Couple 13-14 past. I'm Common. He is Tenneby. Peek at the Purple. Brought to you by our friends at Affordable Electric. Serious cold puts serious strain on your old electrical panels. If your lights dim, your breakers trip, or you're still running a 100 amp panel, come on, you're not really still running a 100 amp panel, are you? It's time to upgrade. Affordable Electric specializes in safe, code-compliant panel upgrades all across the Twin Towns. 612-331-VOLT, 612-331-VOLT, or affordable-electric.com, affordable-electric.com. They are shockingly affordable! So, I don't like to talk about myself. I don't like to use myself as an example or analogy, and I certainly don't want to be that guy that says, I told you so. But in this case, I'm going to make an exception. It's a Fish Wrap Factory West Side. I know you've heard this before, but I can't help myself. It's just that I just need to make this perfectly clear. This is another public service announcement, and basically it is, do you have that sound? Can you find the soundbite from Denny when he says, now you can't always believe what you read? I wonder if you can find that exact one. We play it during the beginning of the show sometime when Tenneby's just mashing on the button bar. Denny Green, he talks about, USA Today, New York Times, and both, he talks about not listening to talk shows. There's another one. I always tend to believe what I read.
I'm always hesitant to believe what I read. You know what I mean? And I think that still it comes down to society. Many times people are forced to believe what they read, and many times what you read might or may not be true.
That is correct. It's called fake news. Denny was up on it before. But this isn't even fake news. These are just opinions and interpretations that people have. I point a quarterback situation where we were and where we are now from when we had Darnold, didn't sign Darnold, Danny Dimes left, and then we ended up we had no choice but to start McCarthy this season. And Randball writes today, and he says, Vikings were 14-2 and playing for the number one seed in the NFC before a blowout loss to the Lions in the 2024 regular season finale. Sam Darnold sputtered badly in that game and in a playoff loss to the Rams. Let's watch the Rams game. Why he didn't play particularly well, it was more the offensive. He wasn't as bad in the Rams. The Detroit game, he was awful. But anyways, we'll leave that to another day.
Nobody would have succeeded in that Rams game.
That's exactly right. He says this feeds two narratives. Darnold couldn't be trusted to win a big game, and the Vikings would be justified in turning the team over to McCarthy in 2025. Now Darnold's in the Super Bowl, and McCarthy's career path is in doubt. I never believed that Darnold couldn't be trusted. I didn't believe that. It's almost like and I know that Randball, he does a great job writing. It's almost like he's saying, well, that was just taken as fact. It's like, I never believed that, because if you go by one guy's performance in one game or even two and decide, there would be all sorts of Hall of Fame quarterbacks who would have failed and would have been in San Jose parking cars and pumping gas if they could find their way there.
I had some questions,
right?
But I never said, I didn't rule it out. That I wasn't one of those say he can never perform in a big game. Yeah.
And then the next one, it says, part of the reason the transition to McCarthy seemed so doable was the reputation of O'Connell as a quarterback whisperer. But with McCarthy, and to a lesser degree in terms of importance, Brosmer, struggled in extended NFL action, there are now valid questions about the development of young QBs with an O'Connell system. Not now, there were before. I had them when they were anointing him a quarterback whisperer with Pastronaut. But something happens with the media, and then the fans grab onto it too, because they always tend to believe what they read. And we were told that he's some kind of a miracle worker, quarterback whisperer, and he's not. Nobody is. Some guys are better. A quarterback whisperer means you take anybody you whisper in the ear and they will be brilliant. It doesn't work that way, folks. And the coach himself, in that interview earlier this season, during the regular season, halfway through, 3/4 of the way through, when the Fox broadcaster asked him, quarterback whisperer, he says, I don't like that. And then he went on to say he does think he does a nice job. He didn't say him. He said, I think the system we use helps. So let's just stop with the quarterback whisperer and realize that it's some guys are better. You heard what Steve Young's, Steve Young doesn't have the answer to everything. He's not the be all end all. But we read that quote from Steve Young yesterday where he said, there's maybe 15 teams in the National Football League that are a good place for a quarterback to be, and the other 15 just aren't. So I'll put the Vikings in the 15 that are a good place to be. But that's as far as I'm going with it. I'm not going to do it. And so, and I don't really believe that O'Connell thinks he's a quarterback whisperer. I think it's like he said, he thinks he does a nice job with quarterbacks. But the idea that seems so doable was the reputation of O'Connell. Who's decided that was his reputation? There's no reputation there. But again, people want to believe that.
It's a narrative.
It's a narrative.
A media narrative.
That's exactly what it is. And he even goes on to say, there are now valid questions about the development of young QBs with an O'Connell system. I had those questions 2 years ago. We always want to, what was that song? Was it Bonnie Tyler, Rod Stewart, or Tina Turner? They all have the same kind of a voice. I don't need another hero. I'm singing way out of key and out of tune, but you know that song, I Don't Need Another Hero? We want heroes in all walks of life, particularly in sports. Look at this guy. We idolize and pedestalize and lift him up. Just let's stop the thing. Where it goes from here, I don't know. We're going to find out. We talked about this yesterday, Tenneby. Now that Adolfo Mensa is, because there was some talk about, might have wanted to fire that GM a month earlier, so we had someone in place for the upcoming free agency and for the draft. They don't want somebody there. This is only guesswork, right? But much of the speculation that you and I had that we were attributing to people I trust, almost all of those have come true. That we're reading now that there was a clash of personalities, it sounds like, allegedly, between KOC and Cam, right? And we also heard that one of the stipulations for KOC to re-sign to his new deal, the extension, was he wanted more input on personnel decisions. And then he signed now, that was a rumor. We heard from people that are plugged in. Doesn't necessarily mean for sure it's true, but it sure is beginning to look like that now. And now, as we said yesterday, there'll be no blaming Kwesi anymore now for the next round of draft picks. He's out. No input in the 2026 draft has anything to do with Kwesi. It's KOC and KOC only. Or with help from personnel guys and other coaches, right? I mean, I'm sure they're doing, I think they're still using the word collaboration. Remember how big that word was? So if they're all collaborating, but now they don't have the fall guy in Kwesi anymore. And my guess is it will be better. I would rather, that was always the rap on Kwesi was like, well, he spent time in the NFL, but his claim to fame was being a commodities trader on Wall Street. And it's like, even Falvey was never really a baseball guy to begin with, right? Wasn't he another one of those Harvard grad guys that was into the
analytics?
Analytics and the sabermetrics and all that. So sometimes, and that doesn't mean those guys can't do the job. But it almost seems like you're better off having football guys. Now, some football guys aren't the brightest guys on the planet. They're certainly not Harvard grads in sabermetrics and analytics in most cases. But at least they understand the X's and O's. They understand blocking, tackling, three-cone drill, that whole thing. So we'll see how it goes. It will be very interesting. Huge draft coming up. They've got at least 8 picks and maybe more. And as Sir Mark Wilf, co-owner of the Wolves, said, we have to get this right. It's one of the biggest, I think, drafts the Vikings have faced in a long, long time, because they're in that competitive rebuild stuff that they talk about. We're kind of right now at a tipping point, I think, Tenneby, because there's still some good talent on this team, but there's a lot of aging talent, and you need an infusion of youth, and you got to hit on these guys. It can't be where, we had 8 draft picks and one guy made the team. That ain't going to work this year.
We'll probably get more than 8, because we'll probably get compensatory picks for Sam Darnold.
So we might get up to 10.
Maybe even Daniel Jones.
Yeah, so we might get up to 10 picks. Whether it's 8 or 10, you can't just hit on 1 or 2. You got to hit on a number of them. We'll take a break. By the way, Peek at the Purple, brought to you by our friends at Affordable Electric. When we come back, I want to talk a little Wild Tenneby. They are on a roll. The Wolves back to their own.
I still want to get to that breaking Giannis rumor, too.
Oh,
Giannis.
Sure. Yes, We'll do that. And also Wild, and then the Wolves are back at it again. They're back to their old habits. So all that and more here on the Common Man program on The Fan.
Want to chime in on what's happening with your favorite KFAN program? Make a voice heard on the Bradshaw and Bryan text line. Let us know what you have to say by texting your message to 64686. That's 64686. Standard message and data rates apply.
Couple 13-14 pastime common. He's 10 to be. ESPN's Shams is back at it. Minnesota Timberwolves are involved in a trade. Shams is reporting 10 to be. What you got?
Chicago, Minnesota, and Detroit have agreed to a multi-team deal that sends Jaden Ivey and Mike Conley Jr. to the Bulls, and Kevin Huerter and Dario Saric to the Pistons. Sources tell ESPN. Detroit also receives a 2026 first-round protected swap from Minnesota.
What does Minnesota get?
So
are we getting?
I'm assuming we're just clearing cap space.
Oh, so we're not getting anything in return. So we're basic. It sounds to me like we're just. It's one of those we're donating.
Yeah, we're unloading salary.
It's like we go to Goodwill and
wonder
you say,
what
here's
else
some clothes.
Wonder what else could be on the horizon.
Well, something definitely does have to be on the horizon, and it could be the James Harden deal. That's been a rumor that the that the Wolves could acquire James Harden. That was another one you sent me earlier today, in which and again, let's see, who was it that was making that report? Another name of an insider that I really don't know who he is, but the insider, let's see, it's Legion Hoops is what it is. The Clippers have held trade discussions with the Timberwolves for James Harden. That's per at Tomer Azarli. I don't know who that is. Tenemy, is that what you wanted to talk about, or do you have another?
I had another one that came out before this trade just happened. Let me go find it quick.
Is it gaining steam, do you think?
So this one comes from Mark Stein, who's a well-respected NBA reporter.
Yes, very much so.
So he tweeted this, or it was tweeted 34 minutes ago. The Bucks' focus has been on Miami and Minnesota because those are believed to be the teams Giannis Antetokounmpo would like to end up with.
Ooh. Oh my gosh. Above average at that. Well, Stein, I think, had reported that, or somebody had reported that, was it yesterday or Sunday, had said something to the effect that he would be open. The word was that Antetokounmpo, that Greek guy, as Mark would call him, would be interested in playing with the Wolves. We talked yesterday because, again, there was some trade speculation. There was like a 3-team trade, I think, that we talked about that. I don't remember, again, who it was. But it had the Wolves parting ways with who were the 3 principals? It was Julius Randle, Jaden McDaniels, and who was the third?
Is it Naz Reid?
Yeah, Naz Reid. 3 of the most important players on the team gone to get Antetokounmpo. And I guess you could make the argument, if you're just talking about players for players, is he worth those 3? You could make the argument he is, but then if you remove those 3 and their contributions to the Wolves, can Antetokounmpo himself bring enough to the floor to he can't cover 3 guys, right? You know, so I don't know if that's a good. I leave that to the smarter NBA people that pay closer attention to the league. It sounds good to get Antetokounmpo at any cost, I guess, because he's a top 10 player. They tell me, but at Jaden McDaniels. Now, of course, last night the coach didn't think McDaniels played that much defense. The quotes from Wolves lost last night. I think people are aware of that. Headline reads, amid trade speculation, Timberwolves fall to a very mediocre Memphis Grizzlies team. It says, the Wolves' 4-game winning streak, ended with a poor defensive effort against a shorthanded Memphis team. Says, when asked about his team's level of effort after the game, Coach Chris Finch told reporters in Memphis, it's on them. They've got to come and put the work in. It can't be a sometimes thing. That's all I've been saying, and I get ripped for it because people think I hate the Wolves and want the Wolves to fail, and that has nothing to do with it. I expect more. This is the tough love covenant. When you've been to back-to-back Western Conference Finals, and when much of that has been because of your defensive proficiency, they've been really good. Is proficiency the right word? They're really good defensively. Why you don't forget how to play defense. Most of it's ever. It says the primary marker for the Wolves having the appropriate amount of effort on a given night is the team's defensive intensity. And a shorthand Memphis team had no trouble scoring on them most of the night. Says the Grizz went ahead late in the first quarter, never relinquished the lead. After Memphis pushed the lead into double digits in the third quarter, the Wolves had a 9-0 run as Edwards got to the rim, but he and the Wolves were upset with the officiating. So now we're going to whine about the officiating. Boy, talk about having a fall guy. Every single team in the league, when they lose, it seems like 8 out of 10 or 9 out of 10 times it's the officials' fault. If officials were only fair in calling it both ways, we would have won the game. As the Wolves complained and Edwards picked up a tee, Memphis kept building on its lead, which reached 20 early in the fourth quarter. In the end, the Wolves just couldn't get a stop. Memphis shot 46% from three-point range, with Jaren Jackson Jr., who sat out Saturday's game, scoring 20. Did Jaren Jackson just get traded? Or was that a rumor trade? There are just all these rumors flying up on the screen in front of me. Anyway, what else did Finch said?
Yeah, he was traded to the Jazz.
Yeah, okay.
In an 8-player deal.
Boy, that's purgatory. Of course, Memphis isn't much better. It says McDaniels had 29 points. That's his third consecutive 20 or more points. He shot 11 for 14 and has shot 69% over the last 3 games as he continues a career-best offensive season. He had another 5 threes on 7 attempts, entering the game shooting 45% on the season. That's like, if he continues that isn't that historic numbers? But Finch was hardly in the mood to hand out compliments after the game. Here's what he said. He got a lot of great offense. We didn't get a lot of great defense from him or anyone else. Offense, I'm not worried about. It comes from wherever it comes from. So, my gosh, that offensive performance. And McDaniels has been really, really good. He might be, I don't think he's the team MVP. I'll leave that to others. You know, it's probably still Ant, right? I mean, how Ant goes, everybody goes. But they talk about McDaniels as one of those shutdown defensive players.
Yeah.
Is he a top 10 defensive player in the league? Is he the defensive whisperer? Is that who he is? Because everybody tells me he's as good as it gets. And offense has always been, he's not a bad offensive player, but inconsistent, yes. And now you look at these numbers. So then you look at that, you really want to get rid of him, Randall, who's had a transformation since his injury-riddled, he came back in March of last year, I think it was, and all of a sudden the last 30 games, we went like 24-4, 28-6. The numbers were astonishing. And much of it was credited with the way Randall played. And then we all know about Nas, right? Nas. I mean, 6th man of the year 2 years ago. He gives you that scoring off the bench. Gives it everything he's got. I mean, everybody loves him. He's a cult hero in this town. I don't know, but you just reported that. It sounds like if Antetokounmpo is traded, it sounds like if the Bucks can come to some type of agreement with either Miami or Minnesota, those are his 2 most likely destinations. And I'll say again what I said when Conley made the deal to get Gobert. I said, I don't know if it's going to work, but I'm all for trying something because the team just they'd been awful for their entire existence except for the one run to the Western Conference Finals. Now, with the current team we have now, for the most part, we just don't have Na anymore. But the team we have now is pretty much the same team we've had the last 2 years where we got to the Western Conference Finals. So now, again, in those Western Conference Finals, I think both times they got beat 4-1. So they had a long way to go to get past those teams. So then I guess as a general manager and a coaching staff, whatever, you have to decide, can we run basically the same roster back again? Let's say they don't make a trade. You're basically the same team you had last. A couple of exceptions, I get that. You've got Beranger now. I don't know if they have anybody else new, do they? You'd still be going with your core pieces, right? You'd be going with Gobert and Randall and DiVincenzo and Nas, McDaniels. No Conley anymore.
No
obviously.
Conley.
He's gone.
If Terrence Shannon Jr. is healthy.
Right, yeah. And do we think that I tend to doubt it? I don't know, maybe.
I mean, I think they're going to add something regardless,
Well,
even if they don't get the Greek kid. I still think they're going to try to make moves to bring in a point guard.
Yeah. What about the Harden thing? See, here's the thing with Harden. He doesn't like to play defense.
No.
You
better keep Jaden McDaniels on your roster if you're going to have James Harden on the roster.
That's it. And, like you say, if you're willing to outscore a lot, because, he's instant offense. He can.
Problem is, remember, the years ago, we'd always hear about the ball getting sticky with the Wolves? Ball gets very sticky with James Harden.
It does indeed.
But he can hit a three-pointer.
Has anybody seen him without a beard? I've always wondered what his face looks like without a beard, because he's got that Dan Haggerty beard. You know who Dan Haggerty is?
No.
He starred in a TV show, I think, back it would have been well before your time. You ever heard of the TV show Grizzly Adams?
Yes.
I think Dan Haggerty played Grizzly Adams. Look up Dan Haggerty as Grizzly Adams. That looks like James Harden beard, just this big bushy beard. Big old bushy beard. So, but if they get Harden, what the hell, it'll be fun, right? Be interesting to see. And I don't want to say McDaniels is untouchable, but man, I just like guys that can basically take the toughest assignment on the floor. Isn't he like 6'9", too? So it's not, and he can guard smaller guys and bigger guys.
He's got length.
Yeah, he's got length. I guess he's not untouchable. Ant would be untouchable, right? You get rid of Ant, and what's the sense of adding to the team you're trying to add to help Ant? But I don't know.
The fact that right now Giannis is deciding between Miami and Minnesota, and then if he comes to Minnesota, when does that ever happen? Someone pick Minnesota over Miami?
Yeah.
That would give you have to give a lot of credit to Ant in that scenario, because Ant is the only reason someone would make that decision.
This one says, Dan, you can call me Common. Dan, if you can get Giannis, you go get him. He is a closer and a game changer. All right. If you had to give up those three people, would you do that? I guess.
I just saw some betting odds, by the way, and I don't know what site it's from, because Power Trip Bets tweeted it out. But the odds for the Wolves getting Giannis is moving up to 5-1.
Yeah, I think we're going to get him. And I'm all for it. I don't, because to be honest, I don't really care enough. I'd love to see, look, I like parades. I'd like to see either your club, you're the hockey community, or Barrero, the basketball community. I'd like either of their teams to win the whole thing. I'd love it. How much fun would it be to have two parades back to back? Do both seasons end roughly at the same time? Depending upon how far
usually NBA is like a week behind. But yeah.
So if the Wild win
mid-April,
let's say the Wild win the Cup.
Cup.
And the Wolves are in the NBA Finals. Do you hold off on the Wild parade and do a dual parade? Has a city ever had a dual parade?
That's Boston.
Now, yeah, they would probably. And I understand where you'd say, well, no, each team deserves a role and they don't want to share the attention. But I just think it would be cool, if it's never been done before, to be the first city in the country, in the history of sports. Now someone said Harden has already been traded to Cleveland. Is that true? I didn't see that trade. All I see is Clippers and James Harden exploring trade. I see that on the screen right now. Live.
I haven't seen a Harden.
Yeah. So there's somebody trying to spread.
I don't follow a lot of NBA guys on Twitter either. Yeah. So,
but I'm looking right at the screen on TV on ESPN. It says Clippers and James Harden exploring trade, and it says Cleveland is among teams expressing serious interest. I would think ESPN would know right now.
You would think so. Yeah.
They wouldn't be showing
Shams works for ESPN.
Yeah, they would be saying that as a deal. So there you go.
I will say on the dual parade.
Yeah.
It's been so long since we've had a parade. Let's just do two. Let's celebrate twice. Yeah.
See, that's where you and I, we differ.
You're going to stick to that camp, huh?
Well, yeah, that's the camp I'm in. What do you think?
Wait, one parade's in St. Paul, one parade. How about we have to do it at the same time?
I like them. I like each car side by side. You have the Wolves in one convertible and the Wild in the other, and they're waving at each other.
There's Anthony Edwards. There's Quinn Hughes.
Showing that the basketball community and the hockey community can live in harmony. Call it the Harmony Parade. I just would love it. I'd like to do a dual parade.
I feel like right now, like Bill Guerin and Tim Connolly are just going to try to outdo each other. Like Bill Guerin goes, bring in Quinn Hughes. Right. And then Connolly goes, oh, I'll see your Quinn Hughes. I'm going to bring in Giannis.
And then we go get Connor McDavid.
is
overrated.
And Guerin's going to be like, well, all right, I see your Giannis. I'm going to bring in Sidney Crosby, one of the greatest players of his generation.
Who do you think? By the way, your Wild Club last night, think about this. They proved again last night, though they didn't end up winning. 2-0 lead is the most dangerous lead in hockey. They were up 2-0. Lo and behold, they have to scramble and win in overtime, and your guy, Kirill
Kaprizov,
scores the game winner in OT.
His
second of the game. And now, remember when Hughes first got here, those first couple of weeks, the stories were, God, these guys just don't seem, me and Kaprizov and Hughes, they just don't seem to gel together. They just don't seem to be on the same page. Now, they're like Laurel and Hardy, Stiller and Miller, Stiller and Mira, Sacco and Vanzetti. They're just brilliant together, right?
Quinn Hughes is brilliant with everyone.
Right.
I mean, Quinn Hughes is their best offensive player, which is weird to say on a team with Kirill Kaprizov and Matt Boldy. But Quinn Hughes is now the engine of their offense right now, and his ability to set everyone up, put everyone else in advantageous positions. You know, you mentioned the 2-0 lead, because that's one of our favorite cliches in all of hockey.
Yeah.
And as the game was going on, I was also thinking about another cliche in hockey that you probably haven't heard of. You don't want to give up a goal in the first minute of a period or the last minute of the period.
Correct.
And
12 seconds in. Right?
All three of the goals they gave up last night. One at the end of the first period, one at the end of the second period, and then one early into the third period.
Yeah.
And usually that doesn't go your way. But fortunately, they overcame the other one, which is you're down 2-0 and you come back, or down 2-0 lead. I'm
beginning to think maybe Kevin Gorg was misunderstood. Maybe keeping the game 0-0 as long as you can is the best thing to do. Tell me what's better.
That one.
Get out to a 2-0 lead, the most dangerous lead in hockey, or keeping the game 0-0. I think maybe Gorg was on to something, but that's a whole other thing. So here's someone that suggests, how about a parade in St. Paul and one in Minneapolis, and they meet at the border?
Right at the river?
Right at the river. That would be fun.
Just have one big bash? That's not bad.
And then do a polar plunge. No way, that'd be in April, so it wouldn't be polar plunge.
It should be in June.
Yeah, it would be in June, yeah.
Yeah, late June.
Late June.
Be very nice.
Late September back in '63, or was that December? But anyways, I'm all for it. I'd trade whatever. Just let's shake it up around here. I would, I guess I'll take the. I don't know. I just don't know if. I don't think it's going to come to those three players for Antetokounmpo. I just think if it was Randall, McDaniels, and Nas, that's an awful lot to give up. But as one text messenger said, if you can get a guy like that, you do whatever it takes to get him. Sorry. They
would have the best duo in the NBA. The best 1-2 punch.
They would.
Don't know who else can play with them, but they'd have the best 1-2 punch.
Yeah. So we'll see how it goes from there. But so we'll keep our eye out. And when is the trade deadline? I don't remember now. I think it's still. Is it this week? Or is it after the All? I don't know. I can't. I just have so much trouble keeping track of anything. No, I've kept track of my dental appointments. I've got one 2 weeks from now.
It's Thursday.
Thursday, that's right.
At 2 p.m. our time.
All right, very good. We'll find out more by then. I've got 3 dental appointments. They're all on my calendar. That's the one. That's what I'm. Those dates are more important to me than the trade deadline. We'll break. We'll come back. The legendary one, Mark Rosen, will join us next here on the Fan.